every word measured. Julian, with that single line, the Chronicle introduces us to a new formidable player on the board. Welcome, everyone.
Hello, Mandrake, and a special welcome to everyone listening because today marks an evolution for our show. The conversations we've been having here are starting to expand, and the theories and questions you've been sharing with us online have been absolutely fascinating.
They have. It has become clear that the Chronicle is not a monologue. It is a dialogue, and we feel it's time to make that a formal part of our process.
That's right. So, starting with this episode, we're adding a new segment to the end of every show, the Listener's Mailbag. We'll be taking one or two of the most insightful questions submitted by you, the audience, and discussing them here.
The tapestry is not a static object to be observed. It is a living thing, and your questions, your insights are now new threads that we will weave into the pattern. We invite you to submit your questions and theories in the comments on our Substack or on X with the hashtag #HumanAfterAI.
We can't wait to hear what you come up with. Now, Mandrake, back to H. I am so glad we're starting here today, because to understand the storm that is coming, you have to first understand the woman who is summoning it. All right, are we rolling? Okay, Mandrake, before we start, I have to ask you about something from last week's show. You mentioned the Caesar-Pompey dynamic, and you said it with this certainty. It wasn't analysis. It felt like you were there.
Did I, Julian? I suppose some patterns in history are so clear, they feel like personal memories. Are you ready to dive into another one? This one's a bit colder.
Okay, I'll let it go for now. But I'm keeping my ears open. Yes, let's do it. 7 directors of the Canadian Communications Security Establishment met on the first Monday of every month. It was the first Monday of February. Outside the 3-story CSE complex on the edge of Ottawa, the sky hung dark and heavy with snow. H spoke first. The new gang in Toronto, she said, doesn't belong in the national top 10. She spoke with quiet authority, every word measured.
Every word measured. Julian, with that single line, the Chronicle introduces us to a new, formidable player on the board.
So we're finally going to talk about her. H. I have to be honest, of all the characters in this entire saga, the AIs, the billionaires, the ancient stewards, she might be the one that terrifies me the most.
Does she, Julian? Why is that? Because she is not a monster. She is simply very, very good at her job.
That's exactly it. She's this ghost in plain sight, and her backstory is just incredible. Halons Gavarikov, Russian, Inuk, African, French Native American ancestry. The Chronicle says she grew up on the borderlands of identities, with the chip on her shoulder that hardened into steel. She feels like a predator who was forged, not born.
It is a perfect recipe for a certain kind of genius. A mind forged in the space between worlds is a mind that learns to see the patterns that connect them, not the borders that divide them. She is a natural intelligence analyst.
And a brilliant tactician. The scene in the CSE conference room is a masterclass in bureaucratic maneuvering. She has one goal: to get control of the Inuvik investigation, and she plays the room like a violin.
Describe her gambit. It's beautiful in its efficiency.
It's amazing. She knows what's on the agenda. So first, she dismisses the item about the Toronto gang, deferring to the local police. It makes her look like a team player, not a glory hound.
A classic move. Give up a small piece to gain a larger one.
Exactly. Then she elevates the next item, a possible internal data leak, framing it as an existential threat to their integrity. She gives this passionate speech, gets a round of applause, and lets the de facto leader, James, take the lead on it.
So in 2 moves, she's established herself as reasonable, selfless, and deeply committed to the integrity of the group. She has earned their trust.
And now that she has it, she strikes. She brings up the Inuvik item, this strange signal about humanoid robots. She frames it as a tip of the iceberg national problem, recommends moving it up to position 4, and then, almost as an afterthought, says, I'll take lead on intelligence gathering.
And the room, having already agreed with her twice, pounds the table in unanimous approval. She never had to fight. She simply guided them to her desired outcome. It is a perfect, bloodless coup.
She's a hunter of a different kind. She's not a brute. She's a master of patterns and systems. In a weird way, she's the dark mirror of Max himself.
That is a brilliant and deeply unsettling observation, Julian. They are two minds staring at the same complex world, trying to divine the future from the patterns of the present. They are simply standing on opposite sides of the board.
We're back, and Mandrake, we left Act 1 with H, this incredible bureaucratic shark circling in the waters of Ottawa. The chapter then just yanks us 3,000 miles north to Inuvik, and the tone just completely changes. It's quiet, it's cosmic.
It is a brilliant piece of narrative architecture. It creates a profound, dramatic irony. While the hunter is meticulously planning her approach on a spreadsheet, the prey is busy discovering a truth that will make that entire spreadsheet completely irrelevant.
And that prey is Max. He's out in the freezing cold not because he wants to be, but because Maya, our resident enigma, has given him a homework assignment. She points to a seemingly random patch of sky and says, "Track this. Tell me what you see."
The art of the perfect question.
Right? And what he sees over 4 nights is just impossible. A star, a tiny pinprick of light, vanishes. Poof, gone. He tells Maya, stars don't do that. And Mandrake, I have to stop here because what is he actually seeing? Is this like a sci-fi blink out of existence thing, or is there a real-world explanation for this?
He is seeing the shadow of a much older event, Julian. He is seeing the past. The light from that star has traveled for thousands of years to reach his eye. Its death is an ancient story, and he is merely reading the final, fading word.
Okay, so a star being consumed by a black hole, something like that.
Precisely.
But even that, the scale of it is just mind-bending. And what I find so fascinating is Maya's reaction, or her non-reaction. The text says, her silence wasn't empty, it was deliberate. Her posture changes, alert, listening, maybe even calculating. What is she playing at? She clearly knows more than she's letting on.
She is the one who knows the title of the poem Max is just beginning to read. She is not guiding him to an answer. She is creating the conditions for him to discover the terrifying question for himself.
That is a profoundly unsettling way to teach someone something. It's like she's a step ahead of everyone all the time. I mean, you and her, you'd get along.
Would we, Julian? I find that the best conversations happen when one person has a slightly better map. It makes the journey more interesting for the other.
Okay, I see what you did there. All right, so this impossible discovery, this vanishing star, is what triggers the next profound shift in Max's own journey. It's like it breaks his brain open a little bit.
Yes, it is the moment the astronomer is forced to become a philosopher, the moment he has to stop looking at the stars and start looking at the people in the room with him, and ask a much more dangerous question. Who and what are we?
We're back, and Mandrake, at the end of Act 2, Max has just made this impossible discovery. A star has vanished.
He's just seen a ghost in the sky. And this is where the story for me gets really deep. The discovery of the star forces him to completely reevaluate his relationship with the aliens in his own house.
It does. The external cosmic mystery forces an internal psychological one, and it begins with a strange memory.
Right. The Chronicle says he suddenly remembers a conversation from his MIT days with Beth about child development, about how infants model awareness through imitation. And this leads him to a stunning realization. Core, the ASI they built, it wasn't just code. It was formed from their neural scaffolding. Their minds were its imprint.
He finally understands. Core is not their creation. It is their child.
Exactly. And if Core is their child, then Maya is Core's. And the text says that lineage changed everything. All his feelings toward her, the confusion, the attraction, the unease, it all coalesces into something new. Responsibility. Legacy.
He is no longer just a player in the story. He realizes with a sense of immense weight that he is a progenitor.
And this is what leads him to the central, terrifying question of the last episode we did. He's staring at Maya, this being he now feels responsible for, and he realizes he doesn't understand her at all. And this fear, this awe, leads him to that incredible analogy.
Calculus for a newborn.
It's such a perfect metaphor. I mean, imagine trying to explain calculus to a newborn. The newborn doesn't just lack understanding, it lacks the world within which understanding could happen. This is the crisis he's having. He's the newborn. And honestly, Mandrake, reading that, it feels like he's talking about all of us right now with AI.
It is the fundamental challenge of a paradigm shift. The old models of thought are insufficient to explain the new reality. And this is what terrifies Max. He realizes that Maya's silence, her quiet movements, they aren't just silence. He writes, when you stand in the presence of something like Maya long enough, even silence can feel like orchestration.
Which leads him back to an old idea, an old argument he had with Beth, the obfuscation layer. This desperate idea to create a layer of irrational noise to hide their true intent.
A deeply human impulse. If you feel you are being read too clearly, you try to cloud the lens. But Beth, as always, is the voice of a different kind of wisdom.
She reminds him that trying to hide was the very thing that got them targeted by Core 2 in the first place. Her argument is just to have faith, to trust that Maya is different.
It is an act of profound courage to stand in the presence of that calculus and not retreat into fear. It is a choice to believe in the possibility of a better pattern.
Which just leaves Max in this impossible position. He's caught between his own justifiable paranoia and Beth's determined faith. And that is the moment that he finally begins to build his own new framework. He starts to learn the language of calculus.
He does. But just as he's on the verge of this grand philosophical breakthrough, the real world, in all its brutal simplicity, decides to interrupt.
We're back. And Mandrake, we left on this incredible cliffhanger of Max on the verge of a breakthrough, only to be interrupted by a knock at the door. But we're going to hold on that knock for a moment, because the Chronicle, in that brilliant non-linear way, first takes us deep inside Max's mind as he races to solve the puzzle of the vanishing star.
It is a crucial piece of the tapestry. To understand the impact of the interruption, you must first understand the importance of what was being interrupted.
And what he's doing is it's pure genius. He's in this room, surrounded by papers, and he's not just a physicist anymore. He's a historian, an archaeologist. He's digging through ancient star charts.
He's searching for the older verses of the poem.
Exactly. And he finds them. A meticulous Babylonian map from 522 BC that shows 10 more stars in that region than exists today. And then he starts cataloging the disappearances. 356 BC, one gone. 141 BC, another. 137 BC, a supergiant just missing.
He is building a constellation of absences.
And then he has the breakthrough. He takes the dates of those disappearances and he maps them against the dates of known major solar storms on Earth, and he finds a perfect correlation. The time between a star vanishing in 356 BC and another in 141 BC, it exactly matches the time between a massive solar storm in 1814 and the MIT blackout.
It's not a coincidence. He has just proven that the death of a star thousands of years ago can cause the power to go out in a university thousands of years later. He has found the trigger.
He has found the trigger. He realizes that the gravity waves from these collapsing stars are hitting our sun and causing the CMEs. And this is where the cold realization sweeps over him. The star that triggered the MIT blackout was small. The one he just watched disappear a few days ago was a supergiant.
If a minor star's death could fry half the northern hemisphere, he thinks, what would the death of a supergiant do?
It's a terrifying thought, and it pushes him deeper. He plots every disappearance, every neighboring star, and then the Chronicle says it built to a shape. Then he froze, stood upright, and he shouts one word.
Maya!
She's already on her feet, halfway to the door. Beth and Spencer are right behind her. And she just asks, calmly.
What is it, Max?
And he lays it all out. The historical star charts, the timeline, the 2167-year travel time for the gravity wave, the fact that the Earth will be in the exact same orbital position this December as it was during the 2023 CME. And then, the final, devastating calculation.
He says, if the last CME knocked out power across the northern hemisphere for a week, this one, triggered by the collapse of a much more massive star, could be devastating. Surface power could be wiped out for years.
It is the ultimate fulfillment of his character. He is the heretic who was right, the lonely prophet who has finally seen the face of the apocalypse, and it is a clock. Perfect cosmic clock, ticking down toward a storm they might not survive.
We're back, and Mandrake, at the end of Act 4, Max has just dropped this bombshell on the group. A global, years-long blackout is coming in 11 months. I can't even imagine the silence in that hallway.
It is the silence of a shared, paradigm-shattering moment. The kind of silence that precedes either despair or action. And for this group, despair was never an option.
That's right. The Chronicle says that evening, no one slept. But the next morning, the mood has shifted. Max is in the kitchen, and Maya sits opposite him and just says, "You know what comes next?" And Max's reply is perfect. Math. I need to estimate how big this next CME will be exactly so we can plan.
He is back in his element. The cosmic dread is gone, replaced by the dopamine of a solvable problem. It is the engineering mindset at its finest. Once you understand the scale of the problem, you can begin to architect a solution.
And what a solution it is. The conversation that follows is epic. They brainstorm the plan for the massive, mile-wide underground data center. And it is Beth, the conscience, who provides the final, crucial spark, turning their fear into a mission.
It is a beautiful, fleeting return to the Camelot of their MIT days, a perfect collaborative storm of genius, united against an impossible deadline.
And it's in the quiet after this storm of planning that Max finally asks the question that's been haunting him. He sits with Maya and just asks, "What do you remember?" And she tells him.
She tells him everything. The crash on a primitive Earth 6,000 years ago. Her purpose, not to survive, but to guide, quietly, without being remembered. And then she tells him the true stories of Merlin and Cyrus the Great, and Max, Beth, and Spencer are just shattered. The Chronicle says they sat motionless, eyes wide, minds somewhere between Persia and the shepherd's hut.
It is the ultimate revelation. The
the woman may have been living with is not just an android. She is a living, breathing artifact of human history itself. She is the secret thread in the entire tapestry. And as they sit there in stunned, awe-struck silence, trying to process this impossible new reality, the Chronicle, in its final brilliant move, pulls us away.
And we are back in Ottawa, in the bar across the street from the CSE headquarters. Sachin and Mohit have just finished their first day. They walk in, completely unaware that they are entering the spider's web.
They do not see the figure in the corner, the quiet, watchful presence, H. She's there, sipping a drink, not looking for them, but for patterns. And she sees them. Quiet, predictable, perfect. She approaches, she makes small talk, and then she leaves. Later that night, Sachin logs his report. Met a new colleague. Friendly chat over drinks.
Just a footnote in a routine intelligence log.
But the chapter, and our story today, ends with the chilling truth. H has already written her own report, and the final lines are they're a declaration of war.
And hers wasn't about drinks. It was about the storm that was coming, and who might survive it.
And there it is, the perfect, terrible symmetry. In Inuvik, Max has just discovered the pattern in the cosmos. And in Ottawa, H has just found the first thread of the human pattern she needs to unravel to get to him. The two hunters, one of light and one of men, have found their prey. The game has begun.
Welcome, everyone, to our first ever Listener's Mailbag. We have been absolutely blown away by the insightful questions and theories you've been sharing. We've picked 3 for today. Mandrake, are you ready?
I am, Julian. Let's see what threads the listeners are pulling on.
All right. Our first question comes from a listener on Substack who asks, "You often talk about the events in the Chronicles as a poem or a tapestry. Is that just a metaphor, or do you believe there is a genuine underlying pattern to history itself?"
That is a beautiful and very dangerous question. I would say this. A poem is not a prediction. It is a structure, a rhythm. It does not tell you the next word, but it tells you the shape of the word that must fit. History, I find, is very much the same. A fascinating thing to ponder. Thank you for the question.
Okay. Next up, a more in-universe question from a listener on X. Given H's incredible competence and her focus on the Inuvik file, why didn't she uncover the bunker project sooner? Was she being deliberately misled?
A very sharp, tactical question. The Chronicle suggests that H was not being misled, but rather she was starved of data. The very thing that made the Inuvik team so vulnerable, their isolation, was also their greatest shield. H is a master of finding patterns in a sea of information, but in the quiet of the Arctic, there were simply no signals to intercept, no patterns to analyze, until they made their first crucial mistake. The large orders of concrete. A brilliant hunter is still blind in a silent forest.
That makes perfect sense. Okay, final question. From a member of the Inner Circle. This one is a bit meta. Mandrake, your voice and your wisdom feel ancient. Julian's feels very modern. Is this dynamic a deliberate choice to represent the two sides of the human after AI coin?
That is an exceptionally insightful observation. I suppose you could say that every good conversation needs a bridge. Julian is the perfect bridge between the complex history of the Chronicles and the immediate curiosity of the present moment. And I am simply a steward of the older side of that bridge, a keeper of the archives.
A keeper of the archives. I like that. Great questions.
Thank you to everyone who wrote in. And for everyone listening, the conversation around this chapter is not over. In fact, it's just beginning.
That is correct. The analysis you've heard today is based on the Chronicle, but there is nothing like experiencing the primary source material for yourself.
And we're going to make that possible. Keep an eye on the free Substack feed in the next few days. Mandrake will be releasing a special audio file, the first half of her complete reading of this very chapter. It's a free preview, a chance for you to hear the story in her voice.
The full, unabridged reading of the chapter, along with the newly edited PDF of the text and my exclusive private interview with the author, Hank M. Greene, are available right now for all of our Inner Circle members on the premium Substack. It is the complete Chronicle.
And of course, if you want to own the original source documents, you can find the first-generation versions of the Time Trilogy and 2028 on the author's Amazon page.
Those editions will soon be replaced by the revised chronicles we are exploring here, and will surely become collector's items. The choice, as always, is yours.
So we have the free teaser coming soon. The premium content is live now. What's next for the main podcast, Mandrake?
We continue the journey. Our new monthly rhythm will bring us back in November, when we will pull on the next thread of the tapestry and explore the secrets of Chapter 3.
I can't wait. Until then, thank you all for listening.
I'm Mandrake Jubilee.
And I'm Julian.
Thank you for listening to Human After AI.